Once upon a time, luxury was made in Europe. France had Chanel, Italy had Gucci, the UK had Burberry. The West made these brands. The East made the knockoffs.
Bring 13% cash back on any purchases from American citizens. And not only that, they're gonna give you 280 hours of visa-free entry into China to go shopping.
Recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been the OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world. Gucci, Prada, Coach, Louis Vuitton, you name it. But for this, I am not proud because we were only making our wages. The profit margin for the people who are actually making the bags are very low.
What if I told you that elite brands, the ones you're willing to pay a fortune for, are produced for mere pennies in Chinese factories? What if the luxury label is nothing more than a sticker, with a price tag 10 times higher than the actual production cost? And what if China is now inviting you to shop, enticing you with cash and visa-free access? You're in for one of the most unexpected and provocative episodes. Today I will expose what has been hidden from consumers' eyes for the past 30 years. Welcome, dear viewers. You're watching my personal deep dive, and today we'll literally step into the heart of the global fashion industry, where behind the scenes of luxury labels, a reality unfolds that will completely change your view of prices, tags, and true quality. So, attention, China has officially offered United States citizens a 13% cashback on all purchases within the country. This is not an advertising campaign, not a marketing gimmick. This is a real policy, introduced in the midst of a growing trade war. And in addition to that, 280 hours of visa-free entry. The goal? Clearly stated, to stimulate consumption and show the world who truly dominates the global textile and luxury market. China's industry has long since stopped merely copying. It sets the pace. It is from here, from factories in Guangdong, that shipments are made for Nike, Lululemon, Armani, Coach, Apple, Ralph Lauren, Dior, and even giants like Hermès and Louis Vuitton. You think made in Italy means handcrafted in Tuscany? The truth will shock you. Up to 80% of Gucci's products are actually manufactured in China and shipped to Europe only to have the label attached and the price legalized to levels many times the production cost. Listen closely. The production cost of a Hermès bag is around $1,400, but you buy it for $38,000. Why? Because you're paying for the logo. And here's where it gets interesting. In this system built on the illusion of exclusivity, Chinese factories are the true engine of the industry. One worker at a luxury handbag factory openly admits, "For 30 years we were OEM factories for everyone. Coach, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. We produced, they stuck on the logo, but we're not proud of it because we worked for a pittance." So who's behind this mass production? Let's name two specific companies. Zhang Apparel and Hong Kong Clothing. They manufacture yoga outfits that you see in Lululemon, Fila, and Under Armour store windows. And here's the shocking fact. The very same Lululemon jacket that sells for nearly $100 in the US costs just $6 to $7 to make at a Chinese factory. Same fabric, same stitching, same pattern. Now imagine this. The Chinese side, tired of being the invisible part of the chain, begins to act. They open warehouses, outlets, shopping centers, inviting Americans on an exclusive shopping journey. They no longer want to be just OEM. They want to step out of the shadows. This is not just economics, it's fashion geopolitics. In a time when trade wars between the United States and China are growing increasingly fierce, the Chinese side makes an unexpected move. If you don't want to buy our products at home, come buy them here, and we'll even pay you for it. This move can be seen as a direct response to the tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. The slogan, "America First," triggered a wave of protectionism, but China chooses not to respond in kind. Instead, it responds subtly. It redirects its export inward, inviting American citizens to come themselves, shop, and essentially support the Chinese economy with their own hands. Think about what this means. For many companies, it's a risk. For Apple, it's a dilemma. The majority of their components and assembly are tied to Chinese partners. For Louis Vuitton, it's a threat. If consumers realize they're paying $3,000 for a bag that was produced for $300, they might simply go to China and buy it directly. And China knows this. In this context, it's important to mention how the internal fashion economy works. A huge number of factories have already moved from contract work to direct sales. That means Lululemon no longer orders 10,000 jackets. The buyer comes directly to the factory and takes what they need. This is a revolution in logistics and business models. That's precisely why a trip to Guangdong might cost less than shopping in New York. Now let's look at the US response. At first glance, silence. Cimarus. But behind closed doors at the State Department and the White House, concerns are already being voiced. Consumption leakage, a blow to domestic retail, weakening influence over brand corporations. And what do the brands themselves think? Here's where the real intrigue begins. More and more companies are looking for ways to bypass trade restrictions by registering subsidiary brands in third countries. It's a kind of origin laundering. Instead of made in China, you see made in Vietnam, made in Cambodia, even though the actual production remains in China. Factories figured out this game a long time ago and started profiting on their own. They are creating their own brands, using the same technologies and suppliers. Essentially, you can buy that exact Lululemon outfit, but without the logo, for a price 10 times lower. Now, pay attention. If in the past the Chinese focused on manufacturing, now they are betting on direct distribution, export retail, domestic tourism, and commerce. Just think about this. Americans receive a tax refund, visa-free shopping, and brands are losing control over their legends. While Europe and the United States continue to debate tariffs, China is quietly and methodically building its new model of global consumption. As a specialist with more than 10 years of experience in international politics and economics, I can say this. We are not just witnessing a shift in the industry, we are witnessing China seizing the levers of control over the global consumption model itself. And here's a key detail. China is not declaring a trade war, it is bypassing it. It is building a parallel market where the consumer comes directly to them. And if this trend continues, it will threaten the very idea of the premium brand. What's next? We may see new restrictions from the United States on tourism to China, new sanctions against Chinese suppliers, or even attempts to block these types of cashback programs. But here's the question. Can they really stop what has already begun? Think about how the market will change if millions of consumers realize that a brand is just a word, and the real item is already in their hands, just without the label. This is what the new global shopping experience is built on. Share your thoughts. Does a logo really account for 90% of a product's cost? Or are we just paying for the illusion?